So back to our angles. This is part 2. Today we're going to talk about vertical angles and adjacent angles. Vertical angles are two angles opposite of each other and have the same measure. In this situation here, we have them labeled A, B, C, D. Angles A and C are opposite of one another, and then angle D and B are opposite of one another. Those would be your vertical angles. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common side, and they usually form a supplementary angle or a straight line, and the sum of their measure is 180 degrees. Let me just move this out of the way. And those angles are AB, BC, CD, DA. Those form straight angles, and they all equal 180 degrees. Sum of their measure is 180 degrees. That's how you know it's a straight angle. All right, next one. Find the measure of angle X, Y, and Z if the measure of angle T is 42 degrees. This was already done in class, so I'm just going to walk you through it. So if T is 42, then X would be 42 because that's the vertical angle. We just learned that just a second ago. And then if X is 42 and T is 42, this straight line, T and Z would form 180, and X and Y would form 180, and you would take 180 minus 42, and it would equal 138 degrees. So now you know what the angles are of all four angles with one given. Angle X is 42 degrees, angle Y is 138 degrees, and angle Z is 138 degrees. At this point, I would ask you if there's any questions, and you have any questions, you may email me back the question. You may put it in Google Classroom on, I think there's a wall on there that you can ask a question about it also. So comments are always welcomed. So now we're going to be talking about that transversal line that cuts those two parallel lines down the middle, right? And they have corresponding angles, and then there's alternate exterior angles, and there's alternate interior angles. So let's take a peek at that. Transversal line is a line that intersects two or more lines at a different point. This would be the transversal line, and we labeled it S. Then we have corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are A and E, angles C and G, B and F, and D and H. They have the same measure. They are opposite of one another on the two parallel lines. So angle A is here and angle E is here. Angle B and F, C and G, D and H. Alternate exterior angles are the ones that are on the outside of those parallel lines, and they are opposite of one another. They also equal in measure outside of parallel lines, and they're opposite sides of transversal, which I just said. Angles A and H and angles B and G. The alternate interior angles are on the inside of them, and they are C and F and D and E, and they are also opposite of one another. Equal in measure, opposite sides of transversal. So if D is 55, then E is 55, and if E is 55, then A is 55, all because of these vocabulary words and their meanings. So, given that M is parallel to N and that the measure of angle W is 100 degrees, find the measures of angle X, angle Y, and angle Z. And at this point, we labeled W as 100. And if W is 100, then the vertical angle would be X, and that would be 100 degrees. Adjacent angle? No, I forgot. Dang it. Vertical angle. Adjacent is next to one another. And then if X is 100, then Z is 100. And if Z is 100, then Y is 80. And then that would label all of them. This is a straight line, so you would do 100, and you would take away that 180 minus 100, and you would get 80. So now we have them all labeled. Angle X is 100 degrees, angle Y is 80, and angle Z is 100. All because of all the previous pages that we just learned real quick. All right, and I think that would wrap up our angle lesson. So this was part 2, and hopefully we'll get it up on the Google Classroom, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.